So this is pretty much Monday, right? Because, yesterday was a holiday. So welcome to today's live stream. Hi, I'm Tracy Lenz. I'm a petroleum engineer. I am the owner of Pecountry, and we are an appraisal firm that handles anything oil and gas minerals. You are now part of the best live stream on oil and gas mineral ownership on the internet, I am sure. Right? Are there even any others? I mean, even if there were, this is the number one, I'm sure. So welcome. And we are taking live Q&A to anyone who would like to hear their question answered by a professional. I will find that professional and anybody. We are taking live Q&A. If you have a question, go ahead and put it in the chat. And these goofballs can stop. No, I lovingly say that. Love you, Mom. But yeah, go ahead and put it in the chat, or you can email it to, let's see, this is right here. You can email it to Tracy at PecountryOG. It used to be, or Kelly. Kelly at PecountryOG.com is fine too. It looks like Kelly's in the chat. I'm trying to save Kelly a little time by having it just go straight to me. But just let me know if you do email me something so I know to look for it. So that's my only rule. I do have something I was going to cover today. But if anyone has any early time warm-up questions before we get into our planned topic, I don't mind hitting that. Let's see. Martha, you say, I have an account at Pecountry, but I messed up. Can I redo? Yeah, we can help you with that. I don't mind at all. Right after this, actually, I have a 15, 20 minutes free. I can just hop in and maybe you just send me an email on what you wanted it to be. Then I can hop in and fix that for you. If anyone's watching this on the restream or replay, you can email support at PecontryOG.com and we can get you fixed up. No problem. Or if you want to email Tracy at Pecountry.com, PecountryOG.com. I don't mind that either. I'll just probably forward it to support. So our support is our other 3 employees that handle support questions. So it's not like someone overseas. Hello, Manor 2005. Thank you. You are my favorite land surveyor. And also my favorite husband. So careful, everyone. The husband is the moderator in the chat, so. Oh, y'all might, I actually don't know what it looks like on y'all's side, but the channel had a big milestone over the weekend. So how YouTube works is channels have to have a certain amount of subscribers, video posts, and watch hours in order to be eligible for certain things. And so we hit the milestone over the weekend of now being part of the partner program is what they call it, where we could it's not enabled, but we could enable the YouTube memberships. If you've been on a channel that has you can be a member of the channel, we have the ability to do that now. And then I think just by default, the super chats and super thanks and all those things are available on videos and live streams now. So, it was 5 years in the making, I think the first video was 2021, and I don't even think that's live anymore because I think I just embarrassingly just said, let's just make that a private video. Because it was a news stream that I was testing out, let's just try a news stream. And my hair was the color of my shirt. And because that's just what it was. And camera, I hadn't figured out camera quality yet. I had a different microphone. I was, my lights weren't as cool, and they're not even all the way cool yet. But I won't mess with it right now. So I decided to maybe just put that one in the archives. Thank you, Mary. Okay. Oh, also, we bought a car yesterday, which is the first time in like 13 years. So, was it 13 years? Did we decide 12, 13 years? Yeah, it was all day. So I feel like I'm still a little brain dead just from that. But, we are exciting people. We went from a white RAV4 to another white RAV4. So that is, if that tells you anything about me and my husband. But okay. I'll not keep y'all in suspense any longer. Our topic for today, drum roll, is I thought I would go over pumping units and how they just generally work, because it's probably the most visible thing in the oil industry, other than like when you fill up your car with gasoline, that the pumping, well, that's, we'll go just make sure everybody knows the difference between all these things. At the pump versus the pumping unit, two completely different things. But if you're driving through an oil area, and this is probably the thing that you'll see maybe first, maybe second, probably the three most visible things that you usually have is your pumping units, your drilling rigs, and your tanks. Maybe the flares of things that are, there's usually a flare on every facility just for safety purposes, even if they're not actively using it. There'll at least be like a pilot light that just in case they need to vent some gas so that things don't explode, there's usually at least something going. But yeah, so I thought we would start covering the things that you might be seeing if you're in the oil industry or oil areas. And I was like, I need a break from all this land stuff. I don't mind answering land questions today, but this is actually the stuff the engineering stuff is what I got the degree in and what my career has been in. So I was like, let's actually hit some of the engineering stuff today. And yeah, we'll go from there. So, in all my trying to get my camera working fun, I didn't pull up the video ahead of time, but I did save a video that I wanted to use as something to point to. So let me pull up the video off to the side. How are y'all doing today? Everyone have a good Labor Day? Can everyone believe it's September already, or is that just me that's in denial? Let's see. Oh, it's going to start playing, isn't it? Yep. Okay. So I have no affiliation with this video I'm going to pull up, but I thought it was a good example of what goes on. So let's see if I can get this organized. It's my first time testing actually doing a video on a video within a video on live stream. So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully it's not too annoying. All right. Okay. So let me just arrange this to where we're just this is just from Downhole Diagnostic is the name of the channel that this is from. I'll keep that little thing in the bottom just for credit purposes, but yeah, this is the highly technical version, but I like some of their diagrams, so I thought I would just go ahead and show it. And let's see, they had some good, let's see, just so that y'all know what we're talking about. If you've never seen it before, I'm going to mute him so it doesn't show up. This is the pumping unit we're talking about, or like any type. This is a particular type of pumping unit, but there's a lot of different types. So you have, I saw some other, there we go. Here's animation. So if you're driving around, you might see this as you're, along the highway a lot of times. If you're driving from Austin to Houston, if you're driving around even Bakersfield, if you're driving around California, Oklahoma, anywhere West Texas, you're going to see these things. These are pumping units. So I hear a lot of people call them rigs. They aren't rigs. This is a pumping unit. Sometimes they're also called a rod pump, a pump jack, horse head. I mean, there's the beam unit, artificial lift. There's a lot of different names for something like this. Reciprocating rod lift is apparently another word for it. So let's see. All right. So what he is doing here is kind of explaining how they're able to diagnose it. But what we're going to do is just look at why there's pumping units in the first place. Because another thing that we do get a lot of questions on is why are they shutting in the wells and not producing it? What happened that made my well shut in? And I want to be able to show how it's actually not the well being shut in when you're working with this type of well. It's how the pumping unit's supposed to work. Not all the time. There's pumping units that run 24/7, but a lot of pumping units go on and off. So if we are looking at the ground here, and then you have, if you think of gas floats on oil, so red is gas, green is oil, almost all the time in our industry, red is gas, green is oil. And then if you think of this like brown is the reservoir that's producing. Now this is for a vertical well, but a horizontal well, in terms of like this particular part here, the pump itself doesn't really go into the horizontal part of the well. It stays in pretty much the vertical part. Like it can slant a little, but pretty much stays in the vertical part. And so if you have a horizontal well that has a pumping unit on it, just imagine the same thing, but the well continues off into his face, that like into the reservoir that direction. I don't know this guy's name, and I apologize, but I'll link the video below just so y'all can, if you are super interested in seeing more about whatever, what he's talking about here. So the problem is that this oil is too heavy to get to the surface on its own. Like it's not just going to magically just start gushing unless there's enough pressure behind it in order to push it up. And a lot of times you do have oil like gushing to the surface, like in Beverly Hillbillies, because it's either really close to the surface and it doesn't need a lot of pressure to do that, or there's a lot of gas in the fluid, and gas is super light. And so if you think of opening up a Coke bottle, you shake a Coke bottle and open it, it's gonna like burst, like stuff start gushing out of the top because there's more pressure in here than the stuff around it's able to hold in, and just you pop a hole in it and it's gonna start gushing. But not every reservoir is like that. And then especially if you think, just continue on with the Coke bottle simulation, right? If you let it slowly, you get that initial part off, the entire Coke bottle is not going to be empty when it stops gushing. It's maybe like the top 10%, 20% of the bottle will be empty, but then the rest of it will still be there. So in order to get the rest of it out there, if you can't move the Coke bottle, because in this analogy, that's the earth, right? You can't tip the earth over. The next thing you might do is put a straw down there, right? So you put the straw in, and then you're able to suck up the Coke, and that's how you drink it. Again, I guess that kind of like gives me a way of being from the South, and that I'm calling every soda a Coke, but I don't really drink Coke, but that's not part of this. But that is what we're doing here, is we have this soda, this box here. If you think of this box as being the soda bottle that has been already like popped, all the pressure's off of it, and now you just have this soda bottle sitting there, and you have the gas on top of the liquid, and you're trying to get the liquid out. So the next thing you do is you put the tubing down, and that's this next piece here. Whoop. This next piece here is the tubing, which goes, so it's like two concentric things of metal now, like two metal tubes going into the ground now. And, there could even be several other lines of metal, like concentric rings of metal. But for simplicity, we'll just have two. And then, because, what are you going to do? Like just it would take a whole lot of someone just like suctioning up at the surface in order to pull that. And so what they do is, for this particular type of lift, is they put the pump at the bottom and kind of push it up to the surface. So let's see if, I think I did see an animation. Here's everything all in there. So you have, what this is doing is when the horse head goes up and down, let's see, I can see, when that horse head goes up and down, and that actually is called the horse head, because it looks like a horse. When it goes up and down, that is moving the entire string of rods that's going down into the ground and down to that pump at the bottom. It's moving all of that. So there's like 10,000 feet of things moving in the ground sometimes. Sometimes it's only a couple thousand feet or 1,000 feet. Usually the bigger this horse system, the bigger the pump jack is on the surface, the more it's moving, either more fluid, more weight, both. And the smaller it is, that usually means it's just it's just coughing up a little bit of fluid now and then. Those little tiny ones that are like smaller than a Volkswagen. So you want to put it down into the liquid, like into the fluid. And then this is moving up and down and kind of like suctioning up every time that it goes down into this pump. It suctions up more liquid, which comes up to the surface and goes to this is like the facilities that are at the surface that you can see. Here's the pump jack, and it's usually connected to a motor, which is the thing moving this thing. Usually these things are electrified if it's in a very populated, like lots of wells area. But if it's out in the middle of nowhere and there's just like, for example, there's a guy on YouTube who, if you found this video, you might have found his stuff too. I think his name's Zach, but he's in Oklahoma and he maintains his own wells. I bet most of his stuff is not electrified, and like there's not power lines going out to it, and so then it's just running on a generator, and it's just burning fuel in order to run an engine, kind of like just having a car idling out there. So you can run an engine in multiple different ways. If you're getting really big electrical bills showing up and you're a working interest owner, for example, that's probably that there's electricity running a pumping unit or running another type of artificial lift. There's some that take a lot of electricity. So that's probably what that's going to, is the stuff to get the fluid up. If you see an electrical line item on your statements each month. I think I saw a animation. Gotta find where the animation happens, because it's him pausing a video within me pausing the video. Here we go. So it pulls it up. There's these little balls in these pumps that when one pulls up, the one opens, and then when it pushes down, the other one closes. So it's kind of interesting how those balls can seat, and that's how it's pulling it up, is like these balls moving around within the chambers. And you can see, so what they're showing here, this is how the people at the people going out to the wells can tell what's going on. They look at these, the cards is what they call them, and they can tell like what's happening down hole. It's actually pretty interesting. Here's what the tubing looks like that's going down. So there's a string of like solid iron that's going in this tubing. So there's casing, which is the big one. The casing protects the earth. The tubing protects the fluid that's going up to the surface from the stuff that's not going up to the surface, if you want to think of it that way. And then the rods, there's nothing inside a rod. Usually it's just, if you were to like take one of those straw cleaners, and clean out the straw is the tubing, the straw cleaner is the rod. Like it goes down in it, and then it's to move stuff up and down. These are normal sizes. Y'all need to know that. Here's what the rods look like. So here's if something breaks, it's usually a rod because you have a little thin piece of metal going down thousands of feet into the ground. Sometimes, and then you have that continuously moving up and down in a piece of tubing that's actually not that much bigger. So then this piece of metal can rub a hole into this piece of metal, and then fluid won't come up efficiently anyway. There's a lot of things that can break along this. A lot of times these joints that are rusted here, they make them really thick because they take a lot of, that's just two screws screwing together, right? A lot of stuff can happen. Things can come unscrewed. Things can break there. The threads that hold them together can break. There's a lot of stuff that can go wrong with rod pump wells. A lot of parts, a lot of moving parts that can break. If you see this type of truck out on your location, so if you, let's see, I'll move this over a little bit here. So this is a workover truck. So it kind of looks like a fire truck with a really tall ladder. A lot of times people get this mixed up with a rig. It is a rig. Okay, it is a rig. A lot of times people think this is a drilling rig, but if it's connected to what looks like a fire truck, then it's just probably a workover rig, and they're just fixing something. They're not drilling a new well, they're fixing an existing well. So this is a rod pump well either getting installed or fixed, or they stack up all those things of pipe next to it, and that's how they get it in the ground. Let's see, yeah, tubing, rods. What else we got here? Ooh, is this a video? A video of a video within a video. Hopefully this is interesting to y'all. I always thought that rod pumps were really interesting. Fun fact, I'm actually co-authored on a research paper that involves rod pumps and neural networks, and it was with the University of California, University of Southern California. It was with their research department and with Chevron. We were doing a research project to see if we could predict the failure of when these things would break or when something would happen based on very subtle hints that you could see ahead of time, and using artificial intelligence basically to, like, very early day artificial intelligence to come up with prediction of that and give the pumpers alerts so that the pumpers are the people taking care of the wells out there. Like, if you can give them something they could do, like, hey, something's happening that's going to eventually cause a hole to form, then sometimes you could give them things to do, like you need to slow down the unit, you need to change the timing, you need to proactively go out and replace it before you get a hole or before something gets very difficult to change. And that was what I was working on for a couple years. Yeah, that was a fun project. That was also out in West Texas, where the pumping units were only producing from like 2,000 feet deep. So it was really fast and easy to test things and do things. And there's so much automation on those wells. And nowadays more wells have that also, but that was back in like 2010. So, yeah, I just think these little animations are fun. I could like sit here and watch them go up and down. I'm also, if y'all want to ask a question, I do not mind answering. I'm just sitting here watching a rod pump animation, and I will keep chatting until someone asks me a question. But until then, y'all get to learn about pumping units. Let's see. We also have, let's see, there were some other things in this video I liked that he did. Yeah, you have the motors and the drives. Okay, some of y'all might know of these things because riding the pump jack apparently is a thing in oil towns. Do not do it. It's very, very dangerous. But you give something that looks like a horse to a bunch of teenagers, and they're going to try to ride it, but don't. This is what I want to show. So there's different types of pumping units, and you might see these out in the field also as you drive. Like if you ever have to drive to Midland or drive around West Texas or Oklahoma, we have this here is a Rotaflex. So it has a very similar thing happening down into the ground, but the surface looks way different. So this Rotaflex here, it has a really long, smooth stroke. There's so many inappropriate things in the oil industry. It's so fun being a, shy female out in the field, having to ask like what a nipple is, what what the stroke, like there's so many things. I was like, okay, it's fine. No one cares. We're just going to ask the questions. We're going to do the thing. But okay, we're still streaming, right? All right. So this is, anyway, this is the Rotaflex. And these are kind of neat, but they're a little harder to work on, a little more expensive, but they don't break the rods and tubing as much. So that's one reason that they, were installed. And then you also have these guys, which is very similar, but so I would always call them grasshoppers. Is that what he calls them here? Oh, yeah. Mark II grasshoppers. Because they kind of just look like a grasshopper. They just turn the other way. So if you think of one's going clockwise, the other one's going counterclockwise. And if I show this, see, it's kind of going backwards with how it's running. And that just puts different stresses on the rods as they go up and down. So there's pros and cons to both, but they're all doing the same thing. There's even some that are, let's see, I think he has a image of this too. These, an air balanced one. So instead of having the big weights on the back, sometimes they have a big old piston of air balancing just to help it go up and down without it, hurting itself. Then there's even weirder versions of that, which is more like the Rotaflex, where it's just going up and down instead of circling, but the same idea is happening. This is, again, all of these are the very similar things happening and similar reasons for all of this, but just different examples of what you might see on the surface. And you could almost even see that this one kind of wiggles a little, but this is meant for really shallow, like coughing up a couple barrels type of production. Maybe you're measuring it in gallons at that point. Then you also can put some of these like low profile ones. If it's in a place where you need like crops to be able to be watered, you can get really low profile, pumping units like this that can be like put underground slightly. And then you're able to get those big watering things to go over the pumping unit, so you can use the land for both crops and for oil and gas production. Let's see. Yeah, don't do that, kids. Let's see. But it is a seesaw pretty much. The problem and the reason that you don't want to ride a pumping unit is these things start and stop. Because what it's doing is, if I go back to here, we'll just stay on here for a second. When they're producing, the fluid slowly. Oh, let me pause this thing. This is the Coke bottle analogy, right? And it's slowly coming in. And when you produce it, sometimes you're producing it faster than it's flowing into the well. And so this line between the gas and the oil slowly goes down as you're producing it faster than it can flow into the well. And if it gets down to this pump intake, like where it comes into the tubing, then you're going to start pulling in gas into the pump. And if anyone has had a pool or a fish tank or something where they were trying to get water to flow from point A to point B, but there was air in the tubing, and you're trying to like either empty the fish tank or clean the pool or whatever you're doing, where you're trying to like get something to flow through. Maybe you're draining a pool, like, or even if you just have, my daughter has these little like pumps in her shower, and when we first installed them, and it's for like conditioner and shampoo, like when you go to a hotel and they have like those little things on the wall, when you start pumping the conditioner out of those little, let me see, I just get a little picture of it just for a, let's see, what do they call those? Shower soap pump dispenser? Yes. Okay. Because I, like the good mom I am, I was like, oh, this is an airlock is what's happening, Cindy. And she's like, yeah, but just fix it, Mom. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Manage a new tab. Okay. This type of thing. Right, this is showing. Yes, okay. So my daughter has this type of thing in her shower because the bottles, we were getting her like these bulk supply bottles of shampoo and conditioner, and they were too heavy for her to like the ones where you have to like turn over, but all the ones that she wanted were didn't come with the pump, the little like pump dispenser. So I was like, you know what, we're just gonna get these things, these little shower caddy things that are meant for like Airbnbs, and we installed these with like sticky stuff onto her shower wall, and we filled them up with shampoo, conditioner, and body wash. But then like this little pump thing on the bottom, you like pull it towards you to like dispense the soap. I'm sure we've all kind of like seen that at a restroom or something. And when we first put the shampoo and conditioner in there, there was air between like where it comes out and the shampoo and conditioner at where it like touched where it was gonna go out. And so every time we pulled the little like this little thingy forward, you were just like compressing the air and then releasing the compression, compressing the air, releasing and nothing was coming out. And so what I had to do was get some water down in there. Like I used like a chopstick to get some water down into, like past the really thick conditioner into the pump here. And then that filled up the air bubbles went up to the top, and then just was able to pump the water out. And then now we have a continuous flow of shampoo and conditioner. So, but that is what happens kind of to an extent when you are pumping oil and gas. If air gets into this little pump, you're just going to like compress the air, release the air, compress the air, release the air, and nothing's going to move. Like nothing moves up. And so then you just start you start producing nothing. You start you damage things, because if you think of how heavy all this stuff must be, and then suddenly you just have air, like if you have air in here, it just falls down through the air and like pounds. And so that's really damaging, and you want to allow time for this to fill back up above the pump. So you want it to always stay, like ideally it stays at a certain level above the pump. And so they have these things called pump off controllers that you time it to where it pumps off just long enough for this to go down to a certain level, and then it stops, it lets it fill back up, and then it pumps down a certain level, stops, lets it fill back up, pumps down a certain level, stops, fill back up, and does it over and over and over again. And all of this other stuff that he's showing, so like this over here, this is a pump off card. So this is how they know that it's starting to fill up with gas or starting to fill up with air, and then they turn it off based on like once this line gets over to a certain part, turn it off, it fills back up, pumps, turn it off, fills back up, pumps, turn it off. And it does that over and over again, sometimes automatic, sometimes on a timer, sometimes it's calculating dynamically based on the well. But sometimes that can be like a day between it turning on and turning off. So if you have a bunch of silly kids who are sitting there watching a pumping unit, like they're like, oh, that well hasn't turned on ever. I've never seen it turn on because it's always off for the 3 hours that they drive by it. That might be the case, but then when they go out there at 8 o'clock at night to be silly and ride it or whatever they're doing with it, take pictures with it, I don't know. It might just randomly turn on. And these are big, heavy movers, and they're not going to stop for anything. So there's been a lot of injuries, we'll just say, and fatalities that way. So that is why, that is one of the many reasons not to do that. Gases like electricity, corrosive material, illegal trespass. I mean, there's a lot of reasons not to do that, but that is one of many. Martha, so you say you joined Narrow. So far, it seems very useful. I've been watching some of their webinars. I see Pecantry's a supporter. Yes, we are. We like Narrow. It's been a good match for the people that we want to serve and the people who can use our services. And I also really like the people that put it on and their heart behind it. I mean, I don't know everyone's heart behind it, but for the most part, I like all of them. And we're going to be at the Narrow, Oklahoma City. Let's see. It's Narrow. Let's see. Event list. So we're not going to be at the Ohio convention on the 10th. But we are going to be at the Narrow National on the 3rd of October. So if anyone watching this either live or on the replay is watching it, if you're going to be at the Narrow National in October, September 30th through October 3rd at the Omni Hotel in Oklahoma City. Y'all can't see. Let me pull this over there. There we go. If anyone's going to be at the Narrow National September 30th to October 3rd in Oklahoma City, it's really like it says September 30th, but the last 2 days is the one that really where most of the stuff is. It's not the cheapest thing, but if you just go like every other year and you're managing quite a bit of minerals, you can definitely get your money's worth out of that just from learning one tidbit on how to better manage it or better do something. This website has all of the agenda stuff here. I don't think I'm speaking. It's still up in the air last I heard, but I don't think I'm speaking, which means I'll have more time to chat. We will have a booth and a what do they call that? We'll have a table, exhibitor table. But yeah. And then, let's see, after that, I don't know what the schedule is. I think probably NAPE is the next thing on our list to do. Yeah, there's some yeah, I don't think they have stuff planned out further than that. But there's usually some webinars, and let's see. I'm logged in so y'all can see what webinars. Where is it? Members, webinars. Yeah, so here's some of the webinars that are available. Some of these I want to go back and listen to. I don't usually get a chance to sit in on these things, but sometimes there'll be a topic that I want to hear. I'm going to be on the board 2026. So let's see, this was it about. So Matt Sands has a podcast. Y'all have probably seen his podcast if you're here. He's a good guy, good podcast. Jason Fitzgerald, he's a great guy. Not the same as our Jason, different Jason. Scott Manning, he's a great landman. You know, Mark owns Pop's royalty software. But I'll be on the one of these at large. You know, I don't think that is, you know, they're calling me an at large director because of my size. I like to think it's my influence. No. This is, oh, Martha is amazing. If y'all have been on the Mineral Rights Forum, then y'all have seen Martha's stuff. That is the Martha. And then Lana is the Texas president. She is amazing. There's been so much has moved in the right direction since Lana took the helm. Okay, but I don't get paid at all from that stuff. Really, we're paying them if anything. But oh, the guy I can actually show. If y'all are interested in more, oh, wait, wrong one. If y'all are interested in any of this oil and gas like production stuff, the guy I was talking about before, who, you know, he I don't think this is. Let me see. I think a lot of people romanticize the idea of operating and owning their own wells. And I think that this is a much more accurate representation of what's actually happening. Let's see. Yeah, this guy here. The Zach Life. Let me get rid of this thingy. So his is, the Zach Life is his YouTube handle. And it's this guy in Oklahoma. I think him and a couple other people own several wells. And I won't play the audio because I'm pretty sure that would get me monetized, but demonetized. Not that I am monetized, but like a copyright strike or whatever. But it's kind of fun. He like shows like this is more real life of like what a lot of these oil wells end up turning into. Like the new ones are nothing like this. Like the new ones are, it's never hard to, when you have a well that produces a whole bunch, to, you know, maintain those because you have all brand new everything. But those guys in the field, like if you're even remotely considering, you know, operating your own wells or owning your own wells or having a working interest, like where you're actually operating, then just watch this channel a little bit to really get a feel for all that really goes into it, because there's a lot, and I think it's like that's relatively accurate to the field stuff that I saw when I was out there. And the production engineer is usually in the office, and then the pumpers and the field crew are usually the ones actually doing the work. And I think almost any engineer that's worked on the production side can tell you that they're the ones that are really helping diagnose what's going on, and you're more doing what are the options, what are the economics, what are the potential, and then working with them to figure out how to make that happen. And so I think that you know it's something to really consider if you're thinking of doing this yourself. Okay. I have a quiet crew. That are my, sometimes y'all are real chatty. And I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make fun of y'all. I will stop. But, let's see. Any final questions? I'm going to drink my coffee for a second. It's funny. I have it like frozen on this Zach Life video. One other thing I was thinking of reviewing was the Climate Town videos. It's an interesting, let me go to Climate Town. It's an interesting contrast, we'll say. So here's Climate Town. and it's a they have more of a certain tone, but they have a couple videos on oil and gas. So they have Landman has like a clip that all my energy friends have like posted on their LinkedIn showing, what's his name? This guy, not that guy. Don't do the preview thingy. Okay. What's his name? Gosh, Billy Bob Thornton. He goes through this 2 to 5 minute long speech on windmills and all those things, and his thought on how the oil, it's all scripted, right? It's what the writers actually think, not Billy Bob Thornton. He's just delivering it. Let's see. Mary, you're saying, are you familiar with the Big Moses well in West Virginia that blew out of control? No, I am not. Let me Google that real quick. Let's see. Big Moses, West Virginia blowout. Let's see. Are you talking about like the legendary one that they're talking about here, or a recent one? Because I see a news story here, but also a petroleum history blog. Big Moses Well, West Virginia, along Indian Creek in Tyler County. A well was spud in 1894 on the Moses Spencer farm. In the September, the well blew out and gas flowed uncontrollably for over a year. That's a lot of time. But I mean, in 1895, I bet they didn't have, all the methodologies we have. Okay, legendary, you're talking about, yeah. Yep, okay, so I think I'm on the right one. Yeah, I bet they didn't have, man, if you hit a pocket of gas and it's uncontrolled, if you think of what's happening, right? Okay, think of a whoopee cushion, right? We're just going to go with weird analogies this whole stream. Think of a whoopee cushion where you have a pocket of air and just a 150-pound person just sits on it, right? Like, kind of, you makes an explosion enough that sounds like a fart noise. We're all familiar with whoopee cushions. Now, that's just where like a very medium-sized weight sits on a pocket of air. Now, imagine if you have a pocket of air and you stack 1,000 feet of rock on top of it. That's what's happening in a lot of these. And it's not so much the rock, it's more the water that's in the rock that's on top of the air. Because there's usually other rock holding up the rock there. But we'll just say there's a lot of weight on these pockets of gas. And so if you go down and you're just like drilling a random hole and you poke a hole in one of these pockets of gas that has a lot of pressure on it, that's a really big whoopee cushion, we'll just say. And there's a lot of, it can blow out a lot of air. You have a really big balloon that suddenly has like a pinprick in it that's just going to continue like hissing, screaming with that gas coming out until it's reached a neutral amount of gas. So, and these gas reservoirs, it can actually deplete a lot of the gas this way. Most gas reservoirs do flow just naturally like this, because if you think of our example with the pumping unit, the problem was the fluid. Like the fluid just gets heavy, right? The fluid is not lighter than air, but gas can flow up to the surface no problem. But the oil has trouble getting up to the surface without gas. So without the oil, without water, gas can usually flow really easily. You can really usually, the same way you can deplete a balloon just by popping it, you can usually deplete gas reservoirs pretty well. These shale gas things are a little bit different, but they do have higher recoveries than oil shale. I think that's why ancestors kept mineral rights, lol. Right? Like, if you had anything near this, you'd be like, well, there's definitely stuff down there. I'm not letting go of this. The Big Moses Gasser of Indian Creek, largest in the world. Oh, it's kind of a cool picture. I love like old pictures and stuff like that. I used to try to help my mom with ancestry because I just liked all the old. I like the old, like, I think you liked like putting together the puzzle pieces of like the different ancestors and stuff. I liked that little snapshot into history and like seeing like a real life thing of what was happening at the time. Like I love what I'm doing a research project on someone's mineral rights, and I'm trying to figure out like which ancestor owned it so I could figure out what title direction to go. And I find like an old newspaper clipping that was talking about, Mrs. Smith had a visitor from out of town this weekend, and Mr. Joe went out of town for 2 weeks to visit his sister. It's like the cutest thing. Anyway, we're at 1:00. I know that we all have stuff to do, but let's see, Martha, did you email me on the issues you were having? Let me check my email. I'll also just like pop into your account and see if there's anything obvious that I could fix for you without you having to say anything. Mary, Martha and I are ancestry. You know what? If anyone could find a connection, I bet my mom could. I have her on a duty to try to find a connection to any oil and gas that we might have, because so far we've not found any. But if anyone could, my mom could. All right. I think that is all for today. If y'all have a topic that you'd like to see on future live streams, let me pull this over here. If you have a topic you'd like to see on future live streams, I'm trying to get better at this, like taking these clips of things that are nice, like condensed topics, and putting them into their own video so they're easier to find. But I'd like to make little like mini series. So my next thought of the next thing to cover would be the like other types of lift that you might see, other things you might see out in the field, that if you're driving by your like your minerals and you see something there, what that is. So just so you can put names to it if you're asking questions, if you're trying to send an email to the operator and say, hey, I saw the frac crew there, I saw a rig there, or I saw a pumping unit there, but I'm not getting paid, or I'm not getting this, or I didn't get this correspondence. You can at least identify it. I mean, Google is great these days, ChatGPT is great these days, but if you want to be on here and asking questions live, you can even send in a picture, say, what is this? And I don't mind identifying that for you. So, all right. Mary says, very interesting class today. Thanks. Ancestry is instrumental in landman finding us. Yeah, I mean, that's it wasn't too far into doing mineral work that I installed Ancestry, like the software, is it Family Tree Maker, on my computer, because it was just easier to, instead of trying to like PowerPoint these things for people trying to show like, well, it came from here and then divided 5 ways, and then I could also just have it do that search for me on the little like leaf, like in the commercials. Let's see. Question was, could you talk about heirs and undivided land with gas, oil, timber, etc.? Yeah, I could cover that next week. Before I figured out how to do something new on YouTube live stream. So I'm going to go in here and set up next week's before I leave so that all y'all can have a recommendation for like not have to like hunt it down next week. So if I know how to do this in theory, And while I figure it out, I'm going to turn up the music so y'all can have something to listen to. How about that? Okay. How do I do that? Well, maybe I had to do that before. Create live schedule. Aha. I can schedule. We're going to reuse. Reuse settings. This will be what is next Tuesday. So Tuesday at noon Central Time, the 9th, we will be here again. So 9, really 9. Questioning myself, yeah, 9. Office hours stream number 22. We're on number 22 of this, yeah. Okay, next. Sorry, I'll figure this out beforehand next time. I'm just seeing if it works now. So if you're sticking around, if you want to get more questions, and that works too. Let's see. Done. Okay. So now I have the live stream scheduled. So I can go into here and set it to redirect to that one after. Okay, I think I did it. So now, once I finish this live stream, y'all should get a redirect to next week's. So you can just like set a little alert for it automatically. And I don't have to forget again, like I did setting this up last week, or, where I finally remembered to schedule it yesterday. Sunny days, if you have like any more explanation of what specifically you'd like to see, airs and undivided land with oil and gas, I think I can pull up some like visuals. A lot of that's just a lot easier to visually explain what's happening. But I'm happy to talk about that more. I know that's the super confusing part of this whole topic. Yeah. I hope y'all have a great week, and I'll see y'all next time. Right. Bye. Wait, I gotta find, like I said, it's like when you say bye and you're not ready on Zoom, and you just like, you say bye and then like you're all hunting for the end button. There we go. Bye.